Welcome back for another film review. This time it's the follow-up sequel to Wicked. For some reason it's subtitled for Good, instead of just being called Part 2. I just wanted to say this really drives me up a wall. When sequels actively ignore the fact that the previous installment is titled Part 1, yes, I am looking over at you Mission Impossible, and they just give it a different name. Unless you're in a different country apparently. Anyways, so the point of this film is to wrap up all that was left over from our first outing, starting with Elphaba, being the Wicked Witch, trying to convince the people of Oz that the wizard they love so much is actually the evil one. Ozians, on the other hand, are being fed propaganda about Elphaba that contrasts her message into words of violence and anger. Strangely enough, Elphaba hasn't changed much as a character. Only now she has her broom, which looks kinda cool when she's riding it, and she's still trying to save the animals. Glinda is still the same too, but now she is the good witch of Oz, yet she has no actual magical abilities. Her entire point with the wizard is to look good and beautiful to help distract the people from what's going on behind the curtains. She is still with Furio, whom is now captain of the Gale Guard, some high ranking with the Winky Guards in the Emerald City. Furio is hellbent on finding Elphaba before anyone else, and uses this as a ploy because he's still very much in love with her and not Glinda, and wants to save her. Nessa Rose, Elphaba's wheelchair-bound sister, is now in charge of their father's estate and is governor of Munchkinland. She is overwhelmed by the fact her sister did not come to their father's funeral or even try talking to her about this whole becoming a wicked witch. It all weighs on Nessa Rose, and she feels really relieved when she can turn to her true love, Bach. But Bach is no longer in love with her, and something wicked takes place.
Lost your heart. We'll see about that.
Bach happens to walk back into Nessa Rose's office after a brief altercation, only to find that Elphaba has returned. Because she's back, she brought back her spellbook, the Grimoire, which Nessa Rose, with a broken heart, decides to use the book to cast a spell on Bach. This goes horribly wrong, and Elphaba tries to save his life. Now, side note, I always wondered where this story was going to veer off and try to connect to the classic Wizard of Oz story, and it begins way sooner than I thought. Throughout the events of the second act, we are slowly introduced to things and people Dorothy meets. So, spoilers, but Bach becomes the Tin Man. In efforts to save his life, Elphaba makes a rash decision to encase his whole body in metal, and from the looks that we get, he looks very cool. Like a half prosthetic, half CGI, really the CGI to help touch up on things to give the illusion that he is a Tin Man, almost robotic, while you do see his face. It's an awesome performance. Another key moment that got me interested in the twisting of the stories is how Elphaba gains the support of the flying monkeys. She was horrified that Oz, the wizard, made her do the curse that made them this way, so she always wanted to save them. The monkeys, on the other hand, are shown throughout watching Elphaba, listening and learning about how she's one of the good guys and they're imprisoned by the wizard.
Nothing can change what's been done to you.
So yes, this story does conclude and even has some more information about those who love the original story. But this project was intended to film the musical aspect and not to tell a larger epic. It has its grandiose moments, but something I loved about the first one was the musical numbers. Everyone I know who likes this tale told me that the second half won't hit as hard with the songs, and boy, they were right. It's kind of a bummer. A lot of the songs are just reprisals from the first part. The sets, the costumes, the cinematography, the lighting are all still top notch in my book, and I think they should have got way more awards for their efforts. The acting's still good, with the only parts I didn't believe were the talking animals. Just kidding. Okay, after I saw the first movie, I made a review. If you haven't seen it, you still can, but I wanted to clear something up about that review. I did not understand the heart of the story. I think I said it was about animal rights, which it's much larger than that. When you look at Elphaba and her sister Nessa Rose, you see that they are two very different people, and compared to everyone else in Oz, it makes them unique. This uniqueness lends itself to Elphaba understanding the talking animals are living creatures of Oz, not monsters like the wizard keeps trying to propagate. Elphaba is also very kind and caring towards others, unlike Glinda, who is self-centered. Elphaba is also disturbed by the fact that the wizard is not magical, but also also seeks to frame himself as the ruler of a utopia that will separate and segregate various Ozians. And the idea of peace, I guess. Now, with this movie, there's a newer message, and I've been talking about it, and it's about the wizard's utopia. Because he knows that Elphaba is going to do whatever she can to stop him. She has actual magic, while he doesn't. So the wizard and his assistant, Madame Morble, horrible name, I mean it kind of tells you everything about her, begin to propagate contorted messages about Elphaba. Through this propaganda, the people of Oz and even the viewers begin to know her as the Wicked Witch of the West because they wanted to slander her. In fact, the propaganda goes a little further, where there's a rumor that Elphaba is weak to water, but this was never proven, but it continues to go on. There's another incident. Just before the sequence where we see Bach transformed into the Tin Man, Bach breaks up with Nessa Rose, plans to head out of Munchkin Land to find a new life. Nessa Rose, being pissed off, immediately uses her governmental powers and bans all Munchkins from leaving without written consent from the governor herself. I'll say this, Nessa Rose was on track to being much more sinister than any other foe Oz has ever seen. It's probably a good thing they dropped a house on her.
Wait!
The ending is quite long. Well, the whole movie feels like it, mostly because it's over 2 hours long, but you got some story to tell, while also spending adequate time with the characters. Okay, let's go back to Bach. He's still not my favorite. When I saw him, I was like, no, I don't care about you. And then he broke up with Nessa Rose talking about Glinda, and I was like, oh god, a stupid love triangle. That's not what this movie needs. Luckily, we got to spend these moments with him, so when he is transformed, you feel like it's reasonable enough, and you don't have to deal with the dumb romance stuff. That's just a personal thing on me. Another stagnant issue with the ending is that it's also happening simultaneously across several landscapes. Think like how George Lucas edited his final acts of the prequel trilogy of Star Wars. You get a little bit of each thing happening and when it's happening. Sorry, I'm trying not to tell spoilers here. Wicked for Good is a very confusing 3 out of 5 with me. If you asked me on another day, it might be a 4 out of 5. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5. It's hard for me to really say. I enjoyed the film and I like the story, but I'm going to have to dock you points for the fact that this is a musical. And almost all the tracks just weren't appetizing for me. Remember, music is subjective. I will say, however, on the flip side, I never liked anything about Oz my whole life. And now I'm like, yeah, I kind of get it. It's a nice fantasy world where it never goes too extreme like some others. Okay guys, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Hopefully I did better than that first one. And if you haven't seen it, you should check it out because I totally missed the point. Bye.